Good morning, children. Today we are going to do history lesson 1. What, where, how and when. What does history mean? History actually deals with the past. Whatever happened in the past we come to know from the history. Now what we should know about the past? We need to know several things, many things. That is what people ate, what kind of clothes they wore rather. Then the lives of hunters, gatherers, what work they did. We need to know all these things about them. There were actually in the beginning they were all hunters and gatherers, that you have already learned. Then slowly, gradually they became farmers. Then some were rulers. These professions came slowly and gradually as with the advancement, priest, craft, person, right, artist. These came slowly and gradually. But in the beginning they were all hunters and gatherers. Now we are going to see where did they live. Where did they live? They lived on the banks of the river Narmada. Can you look at this river? Yeah, Narmada river. Here they lived and they were mostly hunters and gatherers. They hunted animals and gathered fruits, nuts, whatever they could from the plants. And these people were known as skilled hunters, skilled gatherers. Why? Because they were very much aware of the plant wealth. That means they knew which plant is good for their health or which are poisonous and all. Then nearly 4,700 years ago, their civilizations developed here on the banks of river Indus. You can see river Indus. This is Indus river. It was joined by so many tributaries. What are tributaries? Tributaries are smaller rivers or streams which join the big river. Okay, children? Like see Ravi, Satluj, Byas, Chenab, Jhelum, they all join the big river Indus. They developed a civilization. Then 2500 years ago, a civilization or cities developed on the banks of river Ganga. You can see the tributaries of Ganga also, Yamuna, Chambal, Son. There are many rivers, Gagra, Gandak, Kosi. So many rivers are there which are joining Ganga. They developed cities here. Then there were people lived on the Vindhyas also. Vindhyas as well as here Garo and Garo hills here in Himalayas. And here people, they developed agriculture. These people developed agriculture. They were the first to grow rice. They were the first to grow rice. I told you about Indus River also, that they civilization developed, and that is you can tell the first civilization of our country was Indus Valley civilization, which was developed on the banks of river Indus. Now throughout the period, people traveled from one place to another for many reasons. So men and women moved in search of livelihood. Livelihood means in search of work through which they can earn. Then some moved to escape from natural disasters like floods, droughts. Sometimes men moved in armies to conquer others' lands. Conquer means jitna, ladai karke jitna. Besides, there were merchants, which they moved in caravans with their valuable goods from one place to another because they wanted to trade. Then religious teachers moved from one village to another, town to cities. They stopped in places to advise and give instructions to the people. Then there are people who traveled because they were very much adventurous people. They loved adventure and they went in exploring some new exciting places. So, why did people travel? People travel for these many reasons. And because of this traveling, there was intermixing of cultures. When people go to a new place, the living style, culture means the living style of the people, they got intermixed, and that really enriched our culture. The intermixing of culture enriched the culture. Now we are moving to the next, that is names of the land. You know, our country got the name India, Bharat. Where did they come from? The word India comes from the river Indus, called Sindhu in Sanskrit. Right? Then the name Bharat comes from the group of people who lived in the northwest. From them it came, and their name is mentioned in the Rig Veda, which is the oldest scripture of the world. Now, how can we find about the past? What are the different ways? There has to be some way. When early men were, there was no writing, no language, nothing. So how can we find about them? The most important thing is manuscript. Actually, about the early men, we come to know about from their caves where they lived. Early men were very good at drawing. They drew all the things they saw around them, what are the things they had. From the caves, we come to know what they had. Then came manuscript. Manuscript is written by hand. These are the script. They are written by hand. And this comes from a Latin word called manu. Manu means hand. And script means scripture, written language. And there were no papers, so they were written in palm leaves and bark of the birch tree. These trees are generally grown in the Himalayas. You can see the picture of a manuscript. It is written on palm leaf. But as you know, leaves, they will not stay proper for longer time. So most of them were eaten by insects or they got destroyed for many reasons. And these things were generally preserved in temples and monasteries. Some of them really remained, and from that people could come to know it. Then another type of writing is inscription. Inscription means writing on hard surface. These are writing on hard surface. Hard surface like they're hard surface like stone, metal, right? So kings used to inscribe their orders on rocks, on metals. Why? For the people to see and read and follow their order, obey their order. There are different types of inscriptions. King used to inscribe about his battles, his victories, right? Now the people who study those who study these objects are called archaeologists. They study the remains of the buildings made of stones and bricks, paintings and sculptures. They also explore and excavate. Excavate means to dig. They dig the old surfaces and they find out what is the different civilization which are dug, which are inside the earth. After digging, they find out tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments, coins. And these objects actually help them to know about the past. That means what type of life they had, how advanced they were, what colors they use, how technologies were there, and the things which were made of perishable things. Perishable means substance means which don't remain for a long time, they get spoiled. They did not survive, but most of the time those were made of stone or bones, they survived. So archaeologists study those things. So after archaeologists comes the historians. Archaeologists gather all the pots and pans, inscriptions, manuscripts and all. Then historians, they are the scholars who study the past based on the sources, that is information that has been gathered by the archaeologist, that is manuscript, inscriptions and all the things he had gathered. Once sources are found, learning becomes very easy for the scientist, because for the historians, they gather bit by bit and they reconstruct the histories that are corrected by the archaeologist. Now, one thing, children, your book has our pasts. That means it is what? Plural. There is one past or more than one? Yes, there are more than one past. Because any change that comes, it doesn't come completely together or same time everywhere. It comes, changes come in different places at different point of time. For example, the different groups of people, the herders, farmers, different form of these kings and queens, they live. The lives of merchants are there. The different crafts persons are there. Their lives are absolutely different. So their past are also different. Their past is also different. For example, today, most people living in the Andaman Islands get their food by fishing, hunting, collecting forest produce. But contrast, most people living in the cities, they depend on others for supplies of food. Differences such as these existed in the past as well. Life was different in different parts of the country, of the world. So past is also different. Is it clear, children? I hope I'm clear to you. What do dates mean? Yes. What do dates mean? Now it is very simple question. You might find it very funny because for you date is very simple thing. But as we are having things very easily, things were not that easy at the time earlier. So it was not like this. It was not very easy. Okay. If somebody asks you date, you will probably mention the day very easily, month, year, everything. Right. These years are counted from the date generally assigned to the birth of Jesus. There are two types of years. Jesus Christ. One date is marked before the birth of Jesus Christ, right? The founder of the Christianity. So 2000 means 2000 years after the birth of Jesus Christ. All dates before the birth of Jesus Christ are counted backwards and usually have letter BC, before Christ, added in this with the year. In this book we are going to, and other dates which are after the birth of Jesus Christ, they are written as, after the year it is written as AD. I hope children the lesson is clear to you.